November 1st till, the signs are on the roads that you come into a town. They don't have to be on the interior roads, where anyone coming in. There's one on East Hill Road. They're where you come into the town. No. So how would you enforce it? One minute go, okay. I'd like to welcome the Shenango Town Board meeting. Would you please join me in pledge allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Warden?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Hulbert?
Here.
Mr. Lumsden?
Here. Communications?
I have a couple here. I have a letter from Roxanne Lumsden to the board.
I'm going to recuse myself from this conversation.
Okay. Okay. Dear board members, I would like to inquire about selling/transferring a parcel of land that I own, which boundaries the town of Shenango Cemetery on East Hill Road. I am interested in purchasing a few cemetery plots, and it is my understanding there are not a lot left in the cemetery, and that the town of Shenango could use more land for this particular cemetery. Could you please direct me to which department, department head, employee, board, or legal entity that I should get in contact with about this situation? Sincerely, Roxanne Lumsden. And I'd also like to say that if anybody in the crowd has anything that they'd like to say tonight, if you could please do that in front of a microphone so our live stream can pick it up. And that's all for that. Does anybody want to get Mike?
I'll get him.
Thanks, Steve.
All right. As we often do, the public is, I gotta read that, memorize it by now. Open forum. Guests shall speak in orderly fashion, are limited to remarks of 5 minutes or less. The speaker shall deliver their comments or concerns in a civil tone and without the use of profanity, personal attacks, or other disruptive behavior. The speaker shall not be interrupted except for a matter of urgency. Would anyone like to speak tonight? Sir, would you use the microphone so we can hear you? Hand it to him.
I'll get up.
Okay. Otherwise, it
Walk
won't.
right over to it.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I think
Is
it's
it
on.
on?
Yeah, should be.
Sorry, Joe. Subject of my discussion tonight is the clerk's office. 2 incidences. The first one, I walked into, I was going up to the office upstairs to talk to the clerk. And I walked by and there's more than one person in the clerk's office, and the door between the 2 offices is wide open. It's supposed to be clerks only, or deputy clerk, not anybody else. Nobody from the other office is supposed to be there. It was a casual gathering. Hi, Webb, how are ya? Excuse me. It's not allowed to happen. We had this discussion long time, big discussion. It's a secured office. Only until 3. Excuse me, no excuse. No sign saying I'm sick, no sign anything else. I went down the hall, nobody's there in that office. Excuse me? If you got posted hours, that's when you're supposed to be there. There's no exceptions, okay? I'm gonna tell you right now, it's very important that that clerk's office stay open. You open the door, there's nobody can see the sign. It's, the only time I saw the sign is when the door is shut. Sign should be out in the hall. This is our hours. That door is not, it's propped open during the day. So, as a citizen, that office is supposed to be open from the 9 to 3, no exceptions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Going once, twice? All right, we're gonna move on. Old business, comprehensive plan, the RFP. Board?
So I can tell you that Nate and I had a conversation last week, and he had sent to me a copy of the Town of Ulysses RFP that they did for their comprehensive plan, that they just completed the process in August of 2024. Their process budget that they had was about $100,000. We budgeted 50. There are some things in that that we didn't discuss in our original thought process on it. And what I had committed to get back to Nate with is to update that RFP for, because he got permission for us to use that as a base model for an RFP. So I'm going to convert that over into a document that is specific to the town of Shenango. It's got a full detailed scope of services that for the next meeting, I would present to the town for information, for discussion on the scope items, to start that, when we'd want to get it on the agenda. And he also had sent over to me copies of other municipalities' RFPs that they've used. So we've got some comparison stuff for it. So that stuff will be ready for the agenda for 2 weeks from now. And then we can start planning our discussion on what we're looking at. But the timeline that Nate and I discussed that I believe is reasonable is to have the RFP written and a consultant on board in 2025. And then from there, with the input of the consultant, really narrow things down, but to be in the 26, 27 timeframe for completion for the comprehensive plan. So, Nate, anything major that I left out of our conversation?
No, I think that's the real highlights, and from a timing perspective, right? It really does seem like giving it the full consideration, to really make sure their RFP is right for you, because that's a clear communication on the front end of the consultant. What are we trying to do? Getting that through the anticipated process at the town. Gene and I had talked about, Gene, jump on or jump in when I'm getting it wrong. Planning board reviewing the RFP and getting feedback to the town, and then issuing, the town board issuing the RFP. You got 30, 45 days. And based on the timing, the town board probably wouldn't even issue the RFP until May, maybe April earliest. So May. Town of Ulysses took 5 or 6 months to select the consultant. They had a lot of conversations with the people. They had an advisory committee that weighed in on which one it should be. You guys might be able to do it a little bit faster, but you're still looking at September earliest, you'd probably get a consultant on board. So that's where it's reasonable to say, and by the end of 2025, have a firm on board, getting their feet wet with real action really happening in 26.
as far as documents, there's really nothing to share with you now, so just,
Okay.
just an update on where things are going, you know? But everything in an RFP, I know addressed the conversations we've had up to this point, plus things that, you know, that we didn't discuss.
Was Ulysses satisfied with what they got?
Yeah, so they have not finished their comp plan. They actually just hired their consultant in August. And so they're actually at the start of really doing it. But, you know, they have a on-staff planner who has got significant experience. And, I mean, when I talked to Gene, I was like, yeah, this RFP is the most complete one that I've seen. And, you know, it really lays out, like, this is what the town wants, and it's got good deliverables, what the consultant is supposed to provide, and actions that they're supposed to take. So that's why it's like, this seems like a good base to work off of. There might be things in there like, you know, Ulysses is Village of Trumansburg outside of Ithaca. You folks might not be as interested in some of the things that they were.
What's the size of that?
They have close to 6,000, just
Okay.
under that. So, you know, they're half the size of you. They don't have a wastewater
I was thinking
treatment plant.
parcels.
Yeah, number of parcels, I don't know. They got a lot of ag land though,
Yeah.
strong mix of ag land and.
It's very
some-
rural.
Very rural, but there's the Route 96 corridor that's got a lot of development happening that they're really concerned about, and the Lake Shore. So they've got a good mix of issues there, similar to the town of Shenango. So it's just a good place to start from.
What do you guys think?
I think we have 50,000 set aside, but I think it's fine for this year, because
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna reach that 100,000 threshold this year. Correct? I mean,
No, I mean, if we have the consultant on board this year, we're not gonna expense the $50,000, you know, or I don't even know how much of that at all that we would expense, other than some publishing fees and things like that,
good, we're good with that then?
I'm good with it.
at least
Yeah.
until the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
Okay?
Good?
Yes.
All right, moving on, vehicle procurement policy. So gentlemen, took us a little while to find this. Gene, you might have had this. That's all we could find of what you were asking for.
That's what I had sent.
Okay.
Yep.
It wasn't where I thought it was going to be, so we finally found it, so where would you like to start? Parks and purchase program?
Well, just to summarize
number
where
one.
things were, the other 5 documents that were included with this were things that I didn't spend a lot of time prepping for, or, I mean, these were summaries of what the other departments have for their vehicles, but the conversation in my mind was really about the vehicle replacement policy. And myself, I didn't want to get into all the other minutia of those other,
Okay.
without first resolving what our policy is going to be. And then we can go back and look at what each individual department wants to do or is planning. But once we adopt this, or if you decide not to adopt it, then move forward. But the policy that we presented was, or that's here on the agenda, was the one that you had asked me to draft last year, so I haven't changed anything or done anything with it, so it would be what I would recommend is, you know, the policy that we adopt, so whatever your input and discussions are.
David, Kevin?
So we're just have this here just to look at it, to see what we got. You don't have anything in mind that you want to change right away, or we get into that later on, the discussion, or? Because I'm looking at this and I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at or deciding on.
It's the policy. The policy
Okay.
is what I'm recommending for the board to adopt. The
Okay.
changes are
Whatever we make.
whatever you make.
Okay.
Yep.
So you want to go through you want to schedule this for another time, or do you want to go through it tonight?
I was planning on going through it tonight.
Okay.
So I just, where did you come up with the 10 years, 150,000 miles?
15 years, Zora.
I got 10 years.
Which,
Public Works, I'm under.
Oh,
Public
I'm under the highway. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying, the different for each.
Yeah, why is
one.
Public Works less, you would think, I would almost think it would be the other way around. the highway, you're
Three-
talking about the bigger
3.1
trucks?
The 3.1?
Yes, 3.1, yep, 3.1 guidelines.
So I looked at what our discussions were, previous to this. I had looked at what the past vehicles were where they were trading them in, and they were different. So that's why they're different. I'm tried to dial in on what our conversations seemed reasonable for. I mean, there's different types of vehicles as well, you know. Public Works vehicles, that's different than equipment, those kind of things. So that's the difference.
I don't have any problems with it, I was just curious where you came up with those numbers, I just wanted to know what your thinking was.
Well,
And
I
it
think,
is from past data.
It's from past data, but the not necessarily like the accurate what we've been doing. It's been because there's been the conversation with the board has been, you know, this vehicle this is just a number, but it's 6 years old. Why are we getting rid of it just to get rid of it? You know, we've got to come up with a reasonable length of time to, one, have it paid for, you know, without having to refinance it again, which we have not been in problems before. We haven't been financing cars and then trading them in and then financing the leftover debt. It's not been upside down, things like that. But it's just a reasonable amount of time on how long you keep in the vehicle and the use, how it gets used. You know, there's a difference between, you know, a vehicle that we have for code that is gonna get mostly road driven, and then you've got the vehicles that are out on the work line that are, you know, that are work trucks.
but I think there should be a distinction between, say, pickup trucks and big, larger trucks, 10-wheelers and things like that, because that's gonna be different.
Right, well, so that's the third bullet, the other municipal vehicles, you know, the five.
Well, but you're saying that's the other one, pickup trucks, but you have pickup trucks in the highway and you have pickup trucks in water. I don't know that you have to change them, so they're 10 years, they may not. You're saying 10 years or 150,000? So if it automatically had 10 years and it has only got 100,000 or 50,000, we're just gonna get rid of it?
No, these are the minimum thresholds before that you've got a
To
plan on.
consider it,
Right,
okay.
so if it's got 130,000 miles and it's 8 years old, it doesn't meet the criteria, and they've got a plan on it.
Well, the municipal vehicles, like you're talking in code, we just got it again. We have 3 cars all here in code, and we're putting a battery in them again. So we should address how much they're being used too, and why do we need them?
I think that's outside of this issue.
Okay.
That's my opinion of it.
No, I think you're right.
Okay.
You know, but I don't have any issue with changing them or not. You know, I looked at other
I
municipal.
understand what you're saying.
I looked at other municipalities'
Thank you.
vehicle replacement policies, and try to see what was reasonable for them.
Okay.
And every municipality is different, so it's not a magic bullet that's going to fix everything. So
It's more or less a goal to shoot for, and if a department head is asking for something different, they're gonna have to justify it, correct? Okay.
I'm
You
good
want-
with it. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, you have to have a policy, I
Yep.
guess, for everything in the town.
Yep.
And so this is a policy, so I'm okay with it, but maybe somewhere's down the line, I might wanna change the dates and the mileages on them.
But we could.
Because I see a lot of pickup trucks leaving here that I think could last here a little bit
Yeah,
longer.
me too.
And that decision is, you know, a department head or a department-driven question for the board to decide on whether or not they're gonna fund it. So if a vehicle has, you know, if we wanna keep the vehicle for 10 years or 200,000, that's a discussion that the board has with the department on at that time. But I was really looking at these are minimums, unless there's something catastrophically that failed with this vehicle, you know, we need to plan on keeping the vehicles for 10 years or 150,000 miles. and budget the maintenance and budget everything else around that.
But just like many things, Nate, right? I mean, if we get burnt by this policy, then at that point, we're gonna change it. We only get burnt once.
Yeah, it's set by resolution, and so if a department head's like, yeah, I needed a vehicle sooner, here's all my reasons.
Yeah.
You're free to
Yeah,
authorize
okay.
that.
Then I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
So, so like a plow truck, talking like one of our larger plow trucks.
Yep.
If 15 years seems too long, it still falls under the emergency response readiness. So if it's not in peak condition to be able to go out immediately, then they could come to us.
Yes, and there are some other processes in here, you know, to go through the cost benefit analysis of, you know, where things are, you know. There's no reason to hold on to a vehicle that's gonna cost us more to maintain it than it is to buy a new one.
Yes.
But that's the information that typically doesn't get presented or thought through or, you know, processed in December. You know, we do our budgets in September, and then January, February, we're getting requests for new vehicles that were never discussed 4 months ago in budget time. So that's really kind of what I understood our goal was for trying to get a policy in place, is to maintain it, budget, forecast.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure that we do, if a plow truck doesn't meet that 15 years,
Right.
that they come to us before the budget.
Right, and it's a piece of
Before
junk.
budget time, say,
Yeah.
"Look, we got to replace, so it's ready to use this winter," and
Absolutely, because, you
Okay.
know, that's where, you know, some of the other stuff, the operational downtime, you buy a vehicle, it's just, for lack of a better word, and it's down a lot, and it's repaired a lot, and you've gotta limp through to get through to a certain point, but, there are ways to go back and do something with the fleet prior to those initial thresholds and milestones. But they're justifiable.
yeah, they are justified. I agree with that. Those are good milestones to have, though.
I'm okay with it.
So, do we vote to approve it, or just say that we got it, so?
You comfortable with it? Has to make a motion to accept it?
Well, if that's where it is, I just think we should put it on the agenda for, you know, a future, next meeting or a future meeting for a resolution to adopt it. We don't have anything prepared tonight, it was
No.
just a discussion.
Discussion.
But
Yep.
to have Nate, make a motion to have Nate draw up a resolution for it, correct?
I'm not sure, Mike, you need, like, I
Okay.
think if you guys just say, future topic, we're gonna have a resolution next meeting to do this, everyone's
Then you'll
agreed on
do it.
that,
All
okay,
right.
then I'll do it.
All right, I'm
Yep.
just making sure.
Yep.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on. Anything else, David or Kevin?
No, thanks for working on that, Gene.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you. All right, 5.3, vestibule status. Mr. Holbert?
So, Jim and I talked briefly about this, and just coming off from the board's last discussion where things were. There was the letter that was on the agenda from Greg for with his recommendation, and that is in line with what Jim and I had discussed and what the board's last conversation was. So, I wouldn't want to do anything other than to accept Greg's recommendation and to follow that.
I agree with it, but, so we just say we're going to discuss it later, or like, because I guess we're going to have to up the dollars involved to get
Right.
people interested, right? Is that the main thing, or do we have to describe the whole project again, what we actually need?
Or do we gotta change the scope of that? Any?
I don't think that we need to change the scope of it.
Okay.
There were 5 firms that we selected to receive the RFP. 2 of them didn't respond at all. One of them declined because of their workload. One of them submitted a proposal, and one of them declined because they thought the funding was inadequate.
Okay.
I don't I don't believe that the funding is inadequate, for my experience with what we're asking for and where things are. That's my opinion though. But the funding really isn't so much the issue, is getting an AE firm on board to do the design for it. And that's what we want. That's what we want. So we get put the RFP out for a public bid, ask them for a design proposal fee, and include in their design proposal an estimate for the work. At that point, we can determine whether or not we need to adjust the scope because the cost is more than what we
Right.
want to pay, or we adjust the budget to accommodate the projected scope. I don't think that that's unreasonable at all.
Sounds good.
Yep, I agree. We gotta find out. We gotta move
Yeah.
forward to get to that point. Then if we gotta make adjustments, we are gonna have to do it, one way or another.
So the only thing that the board really needs to do is just let Greg and Alex know, with Nate's assistance, to put out the RFP for a public bid. And then they can move forward with it.
Okay. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. Gonna move on to,
Just the last thing is I want to get that into Greg and Alex's bucket, so that it's up to them to do that, and then to come back to the board with their schedule of when it's gonna go out, and when they're gonna receive bids, and when it comes back before the board with the proposals and the pricing.
say that again, they're gonna put their schedule together to go out to get bids. You're gonna wait for them to come back to the board after they get the bids?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanna make sure.
I don't wanna handcuff them with coming back to the board in 2 weeks to get
Okay.
direction.
Just wanted to make sure.
They can put it out, receive the bids, and then bring all that stuff to the board.
So I'm gonna email them right now and just say, Greg, Alex, the board wants the vestibule RFP put out to bid instead of directly soliciting from firms. The board's comfortable with whatever timeline you put together, as long as it's reasonable. Use your judgment, Alex.
Yeah, and myself, I would expect that we'd be 2 months. Put the RFP out, give them time to respond.
Should we say that?
No, I don't, that's what I wanna leave up to them, but I'm just saying if they come back and it's 4 months, that's kind of a red flag. If they say 2 weeks, that's a red flag too, because it doesn't give them time to really look at it, so.
Okay.
Kevin?
No, I'm fine.
You okay?
Yeah,
All right,
do it.
you good?
Okay.
All right, let's do it. Anything else, Gene?
No.
All right, 5.4, wastewater treatment updates. I gotta get back up here. Everyone see all that?
Yep.
Number 9, any questions, concerns?
I have none.
Have you had another, get-together meeting yet?
Well, I
Progress?
was notified today from the DEC, they got a proposal of, action, I'm not saying the term right, remedy from the EPA. They're gonna send me the draft tomorrow. I'm gonna take that draft, I will send it to, our attorney, Chris Fisher, and to Bartolo Judas. I haven't seen it yet, Dave, so I don't know
Okay.
what's all in there.
Okay.
But it's their recommendation. What they're saying to me is they want us to look at it to see if it's doable with the Candom Group, whether they can meet it, everything that they expect to be done in the time frame that they want. So tomorrow I should have that. So unless the board instructs me to do something different, I'm gonna send it to Lees and Gleason, Bartolo Judas, to Candom, and get Greg involved and see what their input is.
I'm fine.
Yep.
Sounds like
Okay.
the thing to do.
Okay, thank you. There is no public hearing tonight. New business, a town resident seeks the water, bill relief. Greg supplied that, the gentleman that has had the water leak. You can see it's not very much money, but Greg needs approval from you, from us to go ahead and alter his payment.
I have no problem with, can he credit his next payment?
Yeah, that's what I assume is gonna happen.
I don't have any problem with that.
So I'm not familiar with water bills. They must work like utility bills, that all the payments are even throughout the year, or more or less, because I saw they were all $63 per quarter before this.
Yeah, I was
incident
surprised that his water bill didn't ever fluctuate, but apparently, I don't
He's
know.
probably meeting the minimum.
So
Huh?
this,
Does it fluctuate, Kevin?
He's probably meeting the minimum.
Okay.
so the $107 he got charged for this last quarter, that's just $40 something more than usual?
Yes.
That's all it is. It's not saying it's $107 for the next quarter, next quarter,
No.
next quarter.
No.
It's just $40-something dollars.
It was $40 more his quarter, and he was upset by it because he had to break in his, inside of his house. Our guys ran over, shut it off, because he wasn't able to shut it off. The town in the past, Mr. Holbert said that in the past, the town would help people out for that. So,
I guess, I look at it like if $40 is gonna be for good public relations, it's $40. But I don't see the town that did anything wrong.
right, and I was never on water personally, so my thought was if you left your garden hose running all day long and forgot to shut it off, but for $40, if the town's practice has been doing it, I'm okay with that too.
Well, the town's practice has been to look at it, not to just blame. So it's situational.
Okay.
You know, how many times has a resident said, oh, my water line broke, give me a break? You know, and how much was it? You know, it was,
Yeah.
you know. So, I mean, it's absolutely situational, and my comment before was the town has in the past taken into account the situation and given them a break.
Yeah.
It's a valid comment. That you're talking about, this was in his house, completely under his control, because it's inside his house, it's not town, it's not a
Right.
town issue. So that gets into the conversation and the dialogue for me as well.
And apparently in the past, and I was unaware of this at the last meeting, there was a citizen one time that they had a major problem in their backyard and their bill was $3,000 and they came in and paid it because they knew they just left the water running. So you know, they didn't come grieve it either or ask for anything. So I wasn't sure if the policy is to review it, then that's what we're doing.
At the last meeting too, this information at least wasn't here for me to know that we were talking about a $40 issue.
We didn't know what it was, correct.
So, I mean, that's another issue.
Kevin,
So-
what's your thoughts on this?
I say credit the guy the money. He
Yeah.
had an accident,
Yeah,
the town's done it in the past.
that's,
One time, we do it for him, and don't expect to be done in the future. If he has another frozen pipe and it breaks, then he needs to fix that on his own. But I think accidents happen,
they do.
you know, and he is a taxpayer of the town. And
Yep.
I think we should credit him that much.
For $40,
not-
I'll go with it this time.
This time, right.
Next time I might gripe a little bit.
Well, I like what you're saying, Kevin. If it happens again with the same property owner, then you gotta look at that.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with it. So then you're all right with
Yeah.
telling Greg to credit the guy for it?
And tell him not to send the letter that he wrote.
Okay. You good?
We should make a motion to do that.
Okay,
Because that's a financial decision.
yep. I make a motion to allow Greg Burden to adjust that gentleman's residence water bill on the next, give him a credit for the next quarter,
$43.
of $43.26.
26 cents.
Second.
Discussion.
I have no more.
None.
Clerk?
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden?
Aye. Okay. 7.2, court clerk resignation. We had a resignation letter from the court clerk, and I see Mr. Judge Fetish is here, so I'm gonna let him speak to the board.
Good evening
morning, everybody. Is this on?
Yep.
There we go. Clerk to Justice Christy Green submitted a resignation effective February 14th. She's going to be going to the district attorney's office, basically based upon her experience that she gained while working in the local court. She's going to be getting approximately an $8,000 increase in pay. So first of all, I'm requesting that I be allowed to fill her position at the budgeted rate of $43,496.90. Christy is the 6th clerk since 2019 that have left from the court. One retired, that was Janet Smith. At that time, she was making $47,000 in 2019 when she retired. Ever since then, new hirees' salaries were drastically reduced to the low to mid-30s. Very difficult to fill those positions. Since then, I've been up every time trying to increase the salaries to make sure that they are competitive for the positions and the jobs that they do. 3 have left employment within the criminal justice system based on their experience as clerk or in other clerk positions. One was terminated because of her performance, and another one just because of job responsibility. So that's the first thing that I'm asking. The second thing is, I've also been advised and have verified this with this other court, that our part-time court clerk is being offered a job at $26 an hour, starting in March or April. All right, the loss of one full-time clerk and this part-time clerk is gonna drastically and devastate the operations up in the court. Now, this particular court clerk, she was hired in 2022. She is not a clerk to justice, so it's not an at-will position. So at that time, the town supervisor took it upon herself to hire the position, but did talk to me about a recommendation of what the qualifications were, and we did recommend this clerk. The advertised rate was $23 an hour, which the former clerk was working part-time clerk. When she started at $20,000, reduced. I went to the town supervisor then, she said, this is what the decision was. Went to the court clerk, she said, I already left the other job, so I'm not going back. And I said I would try to bring this up, which I have each budget time to try to get her to the 23. And then again, I tried to get her up to 25 for this budget year on here, because we're gonna lose her as well. The average rate for a part-time, not a clerk to justice, but a part-time court clerk in Broome County is $27 an hour. Highest one is $38 an hour, and the lowest one I could find was $20 an hour. So what I'm asking, if we can increase her salary from the $23.69 to the $27 an hour, because I'm gonna be, this office is gonna be devastated if I have one clerk and if I have to train 2 clerks. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm trying to find another experienced clerk out there. I went to every clerk in this building, advised them of the opening, not heard anything back. One was interested, but went and talked to the clerks and decided it wasn't for her. So this is kind of the situation I'm actually in a bad situation. And I asked for the 27, I know it's quite a bit on there, but I know this board has both up in the administrative office paid up to $35 an hour for retired to come back when they're in bad shape. And currently in code, somebody was brought back at a rate of $35 an hour because of the dire situation. The court is gonna be in a real dire situation. I'm hoping to be able to fill it, so that's why I've come before you guys to, one, get the authorization to fill the current line, if I can at that position, and also to increase the part-time clerk up to that position. She has almost 30 years of experience and is invaluable with us. She could, when we hire a new person, hopefully they're gonna have experience, but if they don't have experience or it's not up to par experience, the part-time clerk, if we can keep her, could at least be the one training, while the other full-time clerk can keep the operations going. It's gonna devastate the operations up there. One other thing I have too is that I was told that I have to talk to you about this, is we're reviewing the emails in the courts. Each clerk also has a town email, but all court business has to be on a New York State court email. I've checked with the court system. If it has anything to do with their employment, they can do it. There's no need for my court clerks to have a town email, which costs the town $12 and $50 per month per email account. So we can do away with those accounts since they don't use those. So I'm here for any discussion in regards to the pay raises on that. And I don't know if this is proper or not, but you're talking about a vestibule. Greg or Alex has not come up to the court and has discussed how that would affect the access to that court or not. So downstairs, but we have a back door. So, someone might wanna, I don't know what the plans are, this is really, I heard something about a vestibule, but this is the first time I heard things are preparing on here. So before money's spent down here, you might wanna think how it would affect upstairs, or how upstairs will affect what you're trying to do downstairs. I'm here to discuss any of those options.
I'm not prepared to address anything that you discussed tonight, because there's no paperwork for it on the salaries, except for the resignation. So, all of the other stuff that you mentioned, I'm not saying it's not important or it's not an issue. That's just a lot of information that you just kinda gave us on stuff that, the only thing I had to prep for this meeting was this letter of resignation. And I support putting out, the position to fill it at its current budgeted rate. The other stuff is gotta, you know, wherever you guys wanna go with
The
it.
resignation letter was, that's not your part-time person, right?
No,
That's,
it's
full-time.
clerk who
So
does it.
he-
That is the,
so he can advertise to fill that position within that budget, correct?
Yeah, but he was asking, and we've
No,
gotta,
I'm
we
just
better
going
do
to
that.
back
Right,
to the resignation letter.
Right, yeah,
That's all I'm,
the reason I'm here, because like I said, there's been 6 different clerks. It seems like it's been done 6 different ways. The last time I was told I could fill it at what the budgeted position was, but in the past, the board said no, and it's an at-will position, so it's up to the judges for that. But we certainly need consent to you as to what the pay is on the full-time clerk to justice position, that's the difference. So, like I said, when Christie was hired, the board just said, yeah, that's your line, you go ahead and fill it how you feel fit, all right? So I'm just trying, is that what I'm doing this time? Other times, I was told I have to post it, but it's a clerk to justice position. There's no sense spending money on Indeed if I can try to, which I'm already trying to do, recruit from other clerks in Broome County to come work for us. There's no reason to spend $500 for me to get people from New York City that have to apply for jobs. It's just a waste of everybody's time and energy.
What's your recommended salary you think the full-time person should have?
Well, okay, so I've always come here and I've never shot high. I've always been very straight with the board. I've always given numbers that I felt were doable as a taxpayer and a steward of my budget, all right? So I've always had straight numbers with it. I'm not asking for an increase for the full-time positions right now. Do I think they deserve it? Absolutely. But I'm more in a dire position with that part-time position. Because if I lose here, that is truly gonna affect my operations. And I'm afraid that the remaining one, because there's gonna be other job openings, she may be gone in a month as well, and then we're on. Basically, we're done upstairs. I don't know how I'm gonna get somebody up to speed, or the board's gonna have to pay what rates Vestal pays their clerks, $61,000. You know, Endicott just hired new
But-
clerks, because they're.
but Judge, listen, I understand what you're saying, but to go back to what Mr. Holbert, so as far as the resignation letter, the other stuff that you're talking about, then we have to decide to put you on the agenda possibly for the next meeting to get the backup material that Mr. Holbert is asking for, correct?
yeah, how you go through and hire this person, I was not thinking of it as the process where you could just hire whoever you want, or it has to be advertised. As long as it's done through the process that is appropriate, legal, and everything, that doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't have to go to Indeed if it doesn't have to, that's fine. But my position is that the rate of it is for what was budgeted.
Correct.
The
That's what I
other-
was answering
yes.
Mr. Johnson's question when he
Yes.
asked about pay. Right
Right.
now, I'm not asking for the full-time raise at all for the full-time.
So you wanna hire a replacement for Christy Green for $43,496?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Nate, he doesn't have to go to civil service for that, right?
No,
If it's an
at-will.
at-will.
If it's the, confidential
Right,
court clerk, then.
so then he doesn't have to do an ad if he doesn't want to, if you can find someone, correct? Okay, so then,
And it doesn't involve an interview committee.
no.
Because it's
no, doesn't
solely
do
your
any of
decision.
that. So why don't, you got that direction, and then,
Right, so make
Yeah.
sure it's clear. So can I start to talk to somebody and
Yeah.
offer at that salary?
Yes.
If I find a qualified person and
Yes.
then hire?
I don't think you need the board approval for that.
Can't hire until after 2/14.
What's that?
After
2/14.
February 14th.
14th,
Correct,
when
yes,
she's
got that
gone.
start date,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but you're more than at liberty to try to get someone.
The
As far as-
question of clarity that is the actual entity that hires them. Is that the town board, or is that you who makes the board?
It's a
It's-
clerk to justice.
it's a
So
clerk.
each judge gets one clerk to justice.
So we don't, from this point on, town board's not involved in it at all then?
Unless he needs a pay increase for it.
Or the way I read the law, and I don't know if Nate's aware of it, that the board sets the salary. So
Right.
a judge has to come to the board and say, what can I spend on this? Because I'd love to say 55, but nobody's gonna
outside your
pay it.
budget.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I need to have what the number is from the board, and then I can act upon that. And then they would still have to,
Okay.
one, meet the requirements of the state court system, fingerprints and background checks and all that, and then whatever the town, as far as drug testing and everything, that is part
Right.
of the workforce with.
So I think you can do that, and then if you're asking to be put on a future agenda, then we're gonna address that at the end to talk about she's a part-time, the other one, right? So no
Part-time.
benefits. So if you could get us the backup material, if the board chooses to put you on a future.
What is the backup material? Because like I said, with the budget, I've always presented our workload, where we rank in the state, where we rank in the county. I've put the average salary studies of all the other court clerks in here. I've submitted a lot of the stuff, so I don't know exactly what you're looking for. What
I think
would you like?
I think we would want all
I'm
that
not looking
more
for, I'm
current.
not looking for anything until there's a need to fill the position. I mean, right now, it's,
Well, I'm trying to
Conject-
not have
But-
a need to fill the position.
I understand that, but everybody that is running a business anywhere, any municipality, everybody is in that same position, and they're not going out and doing all the other stuff. That's just my position.
Oh, I'm just trying to avoid us having a problem where the board, we can't find somebody, where we're gonna have to bring somebody in at $35 an hour. We're gonna have to pay a court clerk $60. I'm trying to avoid all that as a taxpayer.
Right.
Here too, is that I don't understand the logic when,
Well, because I'm not gonna negotiate against myself.
well, no, I understand that. And like I said, the position was on there, the 27, like I said, is based upon that average and a known what she's already been offered. So we know what the number is. And again, that's why I'm shooting 27. I'm not trying to shoot high. When she got asked to help out in Colesville, she was paid $30 an hour. I get that you don't understand the need for somebody with her experience in the operation of the court, but it's very important to have skilled people that know the business. If someone up there makes a mistake, somebody's license gets suspended. Somebody could go to jail. Their insurance rates go up. There's a lot of pressures that to bring somebody in that doesn't understand and can't enter stuff properly into the system could really backlog and make a complete mess that could take a year to get cleaned out. When Dickinson had trouble with their clerk issues, it took them 2 years to get unburied from the mess they had before they ended up having to pay a clerk $60,000 to take the job. This is why I'm coming to the board. I mean, I'll deal with whatever comes my way, because there's only so much I can do, and I get that. But I'm just trying to avoid a problem here that I see coming. And I've come before this board before explaining that there's a problem with what our pay. The pay for all the clerks, even in Broome County with the Stanley, we're on the lower end for full-time. So we've always been on the lower end. And I've always brought this to this board, but it's like, and I've gotten raises, and you guys been gracious. The one time you were here when we got to 25, because that's when we were at like 30,000. There was no way I could even find anybody to take the position here. I'm just trying to avoid that again, because if I have no clerks, I don't know what we're gonna do. The town is supposed to have a court up and running. So I don't know what the option would be and how I'm gonna fill those spots. That's why I'm here.
So are you saying that your part-time person has basically told you that they're leaving?
They're offered 26. I have verified it with the town. That's the max that the budget could be is 26, all right?
So she has an offer, is what you're
She
saying?
has an offer. She, again, like I said, the whole mess with the history with the other supervisor, she feels she's not appreciated here. And I'm trying, I believe, the 27. I understand, I do not want to get a negotiating war. The board does 27, and then next thing that court says, well, we'll pay her 28. I'm done. The 27 is the offer, and it's for this particular clerk because of her experience. So if I have somebody off the street that has 0 experience as a court clerk, I don't see paying 27, all right? But this particular clerk brings a wealth of experience to this court and is invaluable. And I mean, I really see a problem with, if I'm stuck with one clerk.
Okay.
It's gonna be a mess.
Okay. Thank you.
What do I need to do?
Well, you got your go-ahead. You didn't need our
Yeah,
approval to
I'm
do
good with
that. Are you asking to be put on a future agenda?
Absolutely, I need this addressed sooner than later.
Okay. Jane, Dave?
So that part-time person has no benefits? Is
No,
that-
no
It's
benefits.
just straight salary?
Straight salary. Does not
Okay.
take benefits.
And what information do you need? What can I provide? I mean, I've just told you everything, I don't know
Well,
what
the-
else you know, what you want.
Judge, the board's got to make a decision to put you on a future agenda. Correct me, guys, if I'm wrong here. Later tonight, we're going to decide what we're going to put on the agenda.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna I don't wanna put anything on the agenda until I get the documentation from you. Whatever you think is gonna support your position is what you need to transfer to the board to put, for us to look at to put on an agenda.
But wouldn't you put them on the agenda and tell them to have the documentation for the next meeting so that we have it ahead of time?
No, because I don't know who you talked to that said that you had to come here to talk to us about this, because I was looking
Well-
at a resignation
Well, that's
letter
what.
for one position,
that's-
and then we got
It's
into.
the resignation.
Right.
That's correct.
So what happened
Right.
is, once Christie put in her resignation, the other clerk approached me and says, "Oh, Judge, guess what I've been working on,"
Okay.
all right?
All right.
So
I think
that's why
we're-
I'm in
All right.
a mess.
we're- Okay, we understand that you're in a mess. You can fix your one problem.
Yep.
And we'll talk later tonight. Or do you need something from him? I mean, my thought is we have to have a discussion whether or not we're gonna put on a future agenda. You wanna see the documentation, then talk about it at the next meeting? Is that what's your takes,
Yeah.
guy?
Yeah,
I just wanna make sure I have the right documentation, so we don't have to do. I don't
I
know.
would like to see what it would increase your budget, is what
Yeah.
you're asking
Good
for. What is the increase to your budget?
$3,614.
I need to see it, I need the information presented, either for the next agenda or,
Yeah, cause you don't want this getting kicked off 2 or 3 months.
No.
So are we gonna address it or not? If we choose not to address it, we don't have to. If we're gonna address it, how do you wanna address it?
you're asking me, when we receive the documentation from the judge, then we can have the conversation
Okay.
at the following meeting on when it's gonna be on the agenda.
Okay.
That's
So it's
my
gonna be
view.
old business, or do I need to ask to be put on the agenda again?
New business.
So I have to ask, okay.
Yep.
You good?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to 8.1, dog control report. Everyone see that?
Yep.
Any questions? Concerns?
No, I'm set.
Nate, are we gonna inform the board about the town of Barker? We took that. You're gonna do it in your report, or you wanna discuss it now?
We can do it here if you want.
So, Town of Barker, we did get a mutual agreement with them. There was an issue with their insurance as far as, did they cover us? Nate ran that down with their attorney and their insurance company, so we're all covered, and Joel is working up there, and they're paying us for the mileage for our vehicle.
Yeah,
Okay.
so just to provide a little more context, the Barker agent said the town of Barker's policy couldn't provide primary coverage. And so we checked with our agent, and our agent, who works for the same insurance company, said, yeah, they can. And so I've communicated this to the Barker attorney. He has not responded yet that we're all good, but based on what our insurance agent has said, our current draft agreement is signed, not even draft approved, is appropriate. So that's where it's like we're okay to move forward, providing the vehicle at this point.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I've none.
None.
Okay, 8.2, ordinance application to hire Gavin.
Mr. Burden and myself interviewed 3 candidates for the position of building inspector. We were in agreement that candidate 1 should receive the offer. The range of pay was between $37,000 and $50,000. I believe that candidate 1's experience warrants $41,500 a year to offer the job. I'm asking for that pay, so that Ms. Carey can offer the job to candidate 1.
Where is any of this paperwork?
You were supposed to give all 3 candidates to Jody to put on the agenda for the board, correct?
I don't know, this is the first time that I'm hearing about it, or the discussion about it. There's no paperwork on the agenda for it.
Yeah, there's nothing.
I believed that it was going to be there.
Did you submit it to Jody?
Jody said that she was going to put it on there.
Well, you gave all the documentation for all the interviews that you did to her, and she didn't put it on there?
Okay, I
Okay,
don't care
that's
about
okay.
pointing
Okay.
fingers.
No, but
It's not on here.
so
I
we're gonna
can't
move it.
approve this,
Okay.
to hire that without seeing the information on who
Okay.
candidate 1 is and the experience that you're basing 41,000 off of.
Okay. Make sure Jody has it tomorrow, and we'll get it submitted to the board, and we'll put you on the next agenda then, right?
Do you folks want, so Gavin does all that, do you want me to talk to Gavin about putting a resolution together, just so we have it, if you're inclined, if you guys are inclined to do a resolution at the next meeting, when you have the backup information to say, go ahead and do it? Or was it, or are we following the, make a motion for Gavin to authorize an offer, and then when the person accepts it, you do a resolution to hire at the next meeting?
No,
Well, yes, I understand that. I'm just trying to try to get it all done at the next meeting, if that's what you wanted to do, instead of having it stretch over 2 more meetings at least.
To me, you can put it together, and doesn't mean we have to act on it.
Exactly. That was my thought.
all right with that?
Time frame doesn't change for me, because we would have had to have done that at the next meeting anyway. We would have just been accepting the paperwork and
To make the
reviewing
offer.
and discussion. So it would have gone to the next meeting, put the resolutions together, and if we can get through it, we will.
You good with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So we'll make
Yeah,
sure that
sorry-
stuff,
Sorry about the disconnect.
no, that's
but
okay.
But I would just like to have a little bit more time than a couple of days to look at that. So when, I know it's gonna be on the agenda, but if Jody could send that out to the town board
Tomorrow.
separately,
Yeah, we'll
so
send it
we've
out.
got everything,
Yep,
that would help, me.
I'll get with her first thing tomorrow.
yep.
But not as a substitute to get on the agenda. Still gotta go on the agenda for the next
Yeah.
meeting. Okay, I just,
Yeah, it'll be under, and it would be old business, correct?
yes.
Clerk, you got that, old business?
I got it.
Make sure she has it. Okay, thank you. David?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance report, everyone see that? Mr. Stiles, any questions with any of that?
I have a question on the fire inspections that were not completed at the end of the year. Those kind of look like they got wiped out, but what happened with them?
You're correct. They should exist in the graph you're talking about on the graph. I've been revisiting them. No one's there. There's a handful of them without getting into what their locations are. We could certainly talk about that, but I just revisit, leave door hangers, and
I just would like your report to include the ones that
that are
are
pending.
still outstanding.
Okay.
Because you still have 45 annuals and 52 for 2025 to do. What's left over from 2024?
Right. Whatever it was, 3% or 4%. But yes, I can include those.
Okay.
Can you actually shut a place down if they keep on not meeting to have an appointment with you?
If they're not there, they're not there. You can leave door hangers, you can send certified mail, and, you know, I don't wanna name these places, but, you know, some of them are, you know, just hard to reach.
Gavin, it's your certification that is in jeopardy here by you not completing those tasks within the timeframes? And so it, I mean, extends more than just being outside of the regulations for the fire inspections.
Understand?
Anything else for the ordinance?
I've no.
Because you have to issue certificates of occupancy for those, and they expire. And if you haven't done them, then their certificate of occupancy is expired, so they can't occupy it until it is done. So I mean, that's the effect of what
That's
you're
the-
asking.
That's
Yeah,
where you
yeah,
can apply
right,
pressure.
Right. So, yeah. Okay, that's the only question I had.
Okay, David?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Gavin, you're good?
Thank you.
Yep. DP, 8.4 DPW
Oh,
report.
I'm sorry.
What?
There were complaints that were included in the agenda. What was the intent for that?
Are you talking about my stuff?
Yeah.
So, there were complaints that were attached to some of the photographs of the properties that I was asking permission by resolution to be allowed to inspect, and thereby cause action for potential demolition by the town.
Nate?
So on your future topics is a discussion about when the board would like to, I think it's schedule a public hearing on
Right.
three, and Gavin, you're gonna have to help me, which two you've already done the reports on. And then there's three other structures, which Gavin has, I think, asked the board to authorize him to conduct an inspection and then provide a report to the board. I guess 1107 River Road is a sixth property.
Correct.
And so that is what Gavin is doing, asking you folks for authorization to go and do a inspection and make a report to you. So you have on your future topics, when you want to talk about 5 other properties, Gavin is saying, here's a 6th one to potentially also add to that discussion.
And you can see the pictures of them, so.
Are these all coming in by a complaint from a resident, or are they all complaints?
I think 5 of the 6. I didn't get a complaint on the one on River Road, but it is, you know, it's
Well, you were
pretty
there
clear.
though during the fire,
I
correct?
was, yeah. They had come in and they wanted me to claim it to be unsafe so that they could move forward with the demolition. We did that. They never came in for a demo permit. They showed up with an excavator. The excavator caught on fire and burned the hydraulic line, and hydraulic oil was going into the river, and myself and the DEC were out there, and then they left and they never came back. And we
But
got a
you
half-
deemed them unsafe structures, right? Is
I
that the
did.
term?
I did, which I'm allowed to do through the uniform code, but through our local code, in order to move the board in a direction to cause action on the property, I have to get permission. That's the way I see it. In chapter 26, section 26-2, at any time, the town board by resolution may direct an appropriate town employee or hire a competent person to inspect any structure in the town and report to the town whether the structure is dangerous or unsafe. And then in 26-3, if the person directed or employed as set forth in section 26-2 reports the structure is unsafe or dangerous to the public, the town board shall cause a notice to be served on the owner, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I have not had to go down that road, and I'm trying to follow the procedure here to remove some of these blighted properties, or at least nudge the owners in the right direction.
Okay. It's on a future topic, right?
Future topic. Guys, anything else?
I just, Gavin, will you look at what the town's policy is for the dissemination of complaints for public information? If there's anything that needs to be kept confidential on a complaint? Because everything here that is public facing.
Okay, I can.
Good? David?
Yep.
Kevin?
Yep.
Okay. All right, thanks, Gavin. We're gonna move on to, yep. 8.4 DPW report. Everyone see that? Greg couldn't be here tonight. You can see his report. He did ask to be put on a future agenda for 3/5 for Broad Acres Park. There's something going on with that, Nate, that you're aware of? There's a deadline?
Does he want to purchase playground equipment for that?
Yeah, and I think that's what he was up against. the contract.
There's-
So he's asking, just asking the board if he could be put on there. So, it could be a future topic if you guys so choose.
Where was that request?
Pardon?
Where
He
w-
just, it's not on here. He asked me today if I would ask the board. He couldn't be here tonight to ask.
Oh, okay.
I got a couple from the new tax girl. I got one from Darren too that I'm gonna talk about in my report. You guys can choose to do it or not.
You can, yeah, can you bring it up in future topics?
Yep.
Okay.
I just didn't wanna forget it. So I had a note there, that's all. So anyone have any, concerns with the DPW report?
I don't,
Nope,
there's no DPW report here.
Yeah, I
It's
did-
just a
it's
Barton
Barton
Well,
Judas
it's just
is-
a Bartola Judas thing, that's all it is their update, we don't have nothing else.
Yeah, but
just
he
submit-
used to give us an actual report, like,
Yeah.
He didn't submit one, that's what he
Okay.
submitted,
We
so.
have Jody just remind him that his DPW report needs to be included, because the Barton and Judas reports are supposed to be monthly.
Yeah,
You know, but his report for the rest of the department is missing.
no, we'll do that, I'll tell
Okay.
Greg too,
Yeah, fine.
okay?
it's fine, I mean,
Yep.
just a reminder.
Yep, just a reminder. Okay. We're gonna move on to attorney's report, Mr. Nate Van Wy.
Yep. Attended the zoning board meeting last week. You know, talked with Gavin about unsafe structures. I guess one thought I have on the unsafe structure procedure, the way that the town's code is written, it requires you to do an administrative process by the town board. You know, it actually calls for a public hearing at the town board level, the town board making an order directing a person to demolish it. We file it with the county clerk, and then under your town code, you could just proceed administratively to like knock somebody's house down. I've previously suggested to you folks, I think we should go to court for that, because that's the most correct way to do it. One thing, you know, working with Gavin, I think the town's code is a bit cumbersome when it comes to this stuff. You know, Gavin does have independent authority as the code officer to condemn a structure. And lots of other places just utilize the code enforcement officer's normal reviews and recommendation. Town board, of course, still takes action, but the town board just directly authorizes filing a lawsuit to compel a person to tear down a structure. The photographs and potentially an engineer, if you think from the photos, it's just not self-evident. I'm not saying, I'm not bringing this up to discuss it tonight. It's just a thing, if you guys are inclined to potentially in the future, think about alternative mechanisms or procedures to modify your town code to maybe streamline this a little bit more. Just throwing it out there if you want to. You don't have to, just, it occurred to me, talking with Gavin over the past couple weeks as to what the town is doing with all of these, you know, 6 properties now. I confirmed with Nadine Bell just today. She never actually emailed me back. I called her at 4:30, so I was like, I got a town board meeting tonight. Haven't heard from you. So she actually answered, she confirmed she is available to cover the planning board meeting on following Monday for the one item that my office has a conflict on. And so I'm asking that the town board authorize Nadine Bell with Costello Cooney, I think it's Costello Cooney, to represent the planning board regarding the Abbey Family Trust number 4 matter. Sarah Campbell with HH&K was previously authorized by the town board at the last meeting. Her office has a conflict, so she can't handle it. And then,
You said you need a motion for that?
well, yes, you know, there's no formal resolution. I didn't even know Nadine was gonna be on board until, you know, an hour and 10 minutes ago.
I make a motion that Nadine Bell stands in for the town.
Yep, represents the planning board regarding the application by Abbey Family Trust number 4 for a private road.
I'll second that. Discussion?
None.
I'm done.
Gene?
I have none.
Clerk?
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Right.
Mr. Lumsden?
Aye.
Spoke with the other outside counsel, Kristen Smith, regarding the investigation that she's conducting. That's ongoing. Nothing to really add, but I've had multiple conversations with her. And then in January, the town board authorized bonding and the purchase of a vehicle for the highway department. The SOPL notice is expiring next week sometime. Talked with Darren. He's planning on ordering the vehicle, you know, putting the order in. You folks authorized it. We had to wait for the bonding period notice to expire. He's gonna put the purchase order in, I think, end next week or whenever he gets back. He is anticipating that vehicle will be delivered late summer, early fall, so that's when the bonding itself will occur. So you're not gonna hear anything about that for months, and then Mike's gonna be asked to sign some bond paperwork at some point in the late summer. But that's just one of the other things we've been working on. Aside from that, just various conversations with Mike, a couple exchanges with Greg, normal stuff otherwise. Do any of you have any questions? Do you want me to look into anything specifically?
I don't.
I have none.
Okay. You done, Nate?
Yep.
All right, we're gonna move on to the supervisor's report. So our new tax assessor had, took care of 32 citizens today. She was very busy. At 4:30, she gave me these documents that Jody forwarded to you. Nate, did you get to see these? She's asking questions if the town ever had taxable status, they ever changed it from the state. She needs to know that.
Yeah, I did not get sent that stuff, so looking at it on the agenda is the first time I looked at it.
Yeah, I just
and
got it
wasn't
this
sure-
afternoon.
I wasn't sure what the questions were, because it's like, here's a bunch of stuff highlighted, so it's like.
Right, she's just not sure if the town's done anything differently in the past, because she's receiving a lot of people trying to take care of everything, and she just wanted to make sure these were just some of her questions.
I mean, the easy way to answer that would be to call John Endress and ask him what was the taxable status date.
Yeah,
Who was the assessor prior to John?
that was,
Geisenhoff.
no, it was Scott Russell.
Was it Russell before John?
Yeah, because I thought Tom Geisenhoff trained Scott Russell, but maybe I got it the,
Well,
yeah,
so both of them were prior assessors.
Yeah.
Call one of them.
okay.
Let's ask them if they remember and
Okay,
can point
I'll
us.
try to track down Tom, I might be able to do that. Okay, the board okay with that?
Yes.
You reach out? Okay. I'm gonna ask the board to go into executive session for a personnel issue at the end of the meeting. Should be very quick, just wanna bring you guys up to speed on something. Other than that, you see the supervisor's monthly report. Any questions for me?
There's a few of those line items that are operating in the negative, and I don't know how we're doing that. So,
Well,
specifically, you've got, the sewer consolidated fund.
some of them are waiting for the checks to come in from water. We had that problem before.
Well, I mean, it's February, so, balance at the end of November last year was a negative $5,600. There was $911,000 received
This is in
since-
water, correct?
This goes through the end of the year, right? So at the end of the year,
He's in sewer consolidated.
Sewer.
page 2,
That's
Yeah.
capital.
so you got a negative,
That's capital. Sorry, Gene.
Yep.
so it's got a negative $524,000 in that account. I don't know how these become, or how we're doing them as negatives. The fire district is a negative. There's only a couple, but still, it just doesn't,
No, and I'll get that answer tomorrow. I don't have that. Dwayne and Lori were there today, so we had this issue before, though. And then the next quarter it was corrected, and I don't remember what the answer was, Gene,
okay.
but I'll ask.
Because I'm looking at this,
Yep.
the reason I'm asking is I'm looking at these numbers being run as of January 21st, but the balances are as of December 31st, 2024, so those are the year-end closeouts. So all of the journal adjustments or anything that we'd have to transfer over should have eliminated those things, year-end. And if they didn't need to, and
I'll
these are
find out.
fine,
I will find out and have Lori send us out an explanation tomorrow,
okay.
okay?
That was my only question.
David?
Okay.
Kevin?
I'm good.
Okay. Resolutions, Nate, abstract number 2.
Yep. 9.1 is just abstract number 2. 9.2 is the resolution approving abstract number 2.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Can we consolidate those in the future? Because abstract number 2 actually isn't, the first one's not a resolution. I don't,
So, yeah, she shouldn't have had 9.1, you're saying? Or it shouldn't have had 9.2?
Yeah, it should be.
Should all be one?
Yep. I've
Okay.
noticed that in the past several agendas also.
Pardon?
It's been like that on the past several agendas for some reason.
I'll get with Jody. Adam, do you know that answer?
When I did it, I had them as the same attachment. I just put the resolution with the abstract right to it. I don't know why it changed that way.
Well, we'll check with Jody tomorrow why that's doing that, all right?
the only difference
How
is
she
that
does
we,
it, I guess.
in the past, we have, earlier in the agenda, reviewed the abstract. And then when we got to resolutions, adopted the resolution for
Okay.
what we discussed.
Yep.
Now they're both in resolutions, and that's what's kind of making it cumbersome for me.
So we do got it, yeah,
No.
I remember that now. Okay. You agree, Kevin?
Yeah, that should
Yep,
not be
should-
in the
Yep,
resolution.
all right. I'll have her change it.
Thank you. That was all my discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
David?
No, no.
Clerk?
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden?
Aye.
9.3, this is a resolution approving the water agreement with the town of Dickinson, and we finally got both the resolution and the water agreement
Sign.
attached.
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
None.
I have none.
None.
Okay. Clerk?
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden?
Aye. All right, thank you. Future board topics. I did. This should have been in my report. I just saw my note here. The tax assessor has to change grievance day because she does the other town. So she's recommended May 28th between 4 PM and 8 PM. Is the board okay with that?
To discuss it when?
Well, she needs an answer. Because she's gotta post it. She's got a conflict because of the municipal agreement. We have a right to do it, to change it. She's recommended this day with her schedule, but we still gotta have board approval, correct, Nate?
Yeah, I think so, and I'm gonna just try to look at it real quick. I think there's no harm in you authorizing it? If you can if you can authorize it, you can authorize it. If it turns out you can't authorize it and you do, then, well, okay, it'll just be
Can
whatever
she
it
set
was.
can she set the date?
Yeah, I don't know if she's got the independent authority.
Well, she's
to do
saying
it.
that it needs to come from us. She has to change it. She can't be in 2 places at one time. And the other town has already posted it and
I understand that. I guess my question was, I thought we were in the future board topics section.
And I apologize to the board. I should have did that in my in my supervisor's report, brought that up. I just missed my note.
So what you're saying, she can do it on her own, or we have to officially say that she can do it, or?
Well, what Nate, she's asking,
I'm looking.
Okay.
All right, so we're out of future board topics right now. We're
Okay.
discussing this, correct?
yes, correct.
So, do we just need to make a motion?
It's either a motion or a local law, and that's the thing. Like, if it's a local law, then I don't know if it is or not. I mean, I'm looking real quick. You have options though to have it when you share an assessor between the 4th Tuesday in May and the 2nd Tuesday. So those are so that's the time frame in which you can change it.
So we got plenty of time then, or?
I don't know what her publication date
Right.
is for letting people know, here's your grievance day.
If you wanna put it on,
Well,
she
if
didn't
it's
tell me when she
If it's a
just,
local law, then it's a public hearing and everything
Public
else,
hearing,
so
yeah.
it's nothing tonight, just have
No.
her publish it, and if
so
it's
then
gotta
we'll
get
put it on a future
retracted
agenda.
and, but she can publish it, and if it's gotta get retracted or changed, then it does.
Yeah,
But-
I think it is a local law. It's like town law 512.
So then,
What day?
she's put May 28th, 4 PM to 8 PM.
Okay, we have a meeting that night.
Hmm.
Does that matter?
Not for her.
No, she can do it upstairs, and she could do it in the courtroom even if she needed to. The grievance guys could be right
I'm
up
fine.
in the
I was just
courtroom,
asking- was
as
just
long as
asking a
that's okay with the judge.
Well, I was gonna say, I think the last time the town did use the courtroom, I think we heard from somebody at the 6th Judicial District, they didn't want us using the courtroom.
But that was
I
during,
know,
the-
Judge,
that
I
was
think-
during the
I think
day
you
though,
were fine
wasn't
with
it?
but-
No, that was, because you're using it for an investigation.
Right.
Or something, for other, so
Yes.
it's more of a jurisdictional.
Jurisdictional
issue
thing.
With it being in the courtroom, but it is town property. We do have,
And you don't have night court anymore, cause you have CAT,
there's no conflicts.
so.
It is available.
Okay, so we can tell her to,
Tell her to do that and we'll do a public hearing on it?
I know I said that, but if there's not, I don't know what the answer to Kevin's question is, when is her requirement for posting that?
I don't have that information.
Yeah.
So how many weeks would it take to do the whole process if it was done right? We talking a month, or?
Local law? We can have it drafted for introduction to you at the next meeting, and then you schedule the public hearing at the meeting after that, and then you adopt it, and we're good. So by the first meeting in March, you'll adopt it.
That's what we're gonna have to do.
so she has to post it before March 5th.
I'll find out tomorrow.
If she doesn't, then she should just wait until we,
Go through the
let's
process.
make it real, you know?
Right, yeah.
So we should have an answer by March 5th when we do the public hearing and do all that. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys are
You
gonna
could
adopt it.
possibly hit that date.
Yeah, well, I think we'll hit it.
And if that's okay with her, then we'll just go that route and we'll put her on the agenda for the next meeting to start the process, correct?
Just be careful of the timing, because we're not meeting, on the March 5th until 5. I don't know when she's gonna start it. She can't, we're gonna meet at 5, do our public hearings at 6. If she's up there at 4 o'clock, that's gonna be a problem.
When is she changing the grievance day to?
To May 28th, not March.
No, to post it. I'm talking about when she posts it. She shouldn't post it before the 5th. She should wait until we have the meeting and then post it.
Right.
She's here
As
on
long-
the Wednesday, the
Yes.
5th.
yes.
Right.
Like you're saying.
As long as she isn't up against the clock, we'll do it, like Dave said, the right way.
Yeah,
If there's a deadline, then we're gonna have to do something different.
I mean, I would argue if she publishes it prior to the board taking action, the board later authorizes it, no harm, no foul.
Really?
I mean, that's the day, if you're changing it, and you're changing it with enough time to change it.
Okay.
You know, now the issue will be if she publishes it and you don't take action, because you don't wanna change it, then the town would have to redo a notice telling people, oh, here's the actual day for grievance.
and I have no problem with the date she wants.
Okay. David?
Okay.
I'm okay, I'm good.
All right.
May 28th.
May 28th, 4 PM to 8 PM, and it'll most likely be in the courtroom, because we're gonna be here. Okay?
Okay.
So now, I'll go back to future board. We have, Darren wanted to be on the next meeting for his trucks, Gavin and Greg, so how do you guys wanna do that? Or does anyone have anything else?
Well,
So
you
on the
have-
future,
You have on here already,
yeah,
highway department truck bids,
yeah.
truck lift discussion. So interviews for hiring a council member.
When are you gonna do that? We got 6 applicants. And the question was, Kevin, you were asking me earlier,
What was the cutoff? Or what did we set for a
what was the
cutoff?
cutoff date? Cause I thought it was today, but Adam remembers it as being the 12th.
12th of February? It must be if that's when we set that on the future topics.
Yeah, because I remember pushing off the policy manual to into March, because we were doing all of that.
Yeah,
And that's still on the 19th.
Okay.
so we can you wanna take the policy manual off for the 19th, correct?
That's what I had on,
Okay, so we'll change that. Clerk, you got that, policy manual?
For when?
We're gonna take it to the end of March, Gene? What-
it was, on my notes, it's 3/19.
Okay.
Do we have a meeting on 3/19?
We do.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna move that one.
Supervisor, just looking, the 28th, the court will not be available till 3:30, 4 o'clock, all the evening. I don't know if that matters for the,
You're gonna use it till 4 o'clock?
3:30, 4 o'clock, so anytime after that's fine. So I didn't know if you're doing, if she was doing any of the.
No, she's not starting until 4 PM.
Then that'll work perfect.
Thank you. What do you guys wanna do here?
Well,
Well, you got the highway, you got the bid, Darren's.
yeah,
The truck.
I think that's all fine to have on there for
Okay.
the 19th. I mean, we're not doing interviews on the 19th, correct? There's no way. We
No.
gotta discuss how many,
We're gonna see how many we have by the 12th,
so it's gonna be a discussion on how we're gonna do it.
right. And what day are we gonna do it? Cause we said we were gonna hold a special meeting to
That's
do
fine,
that.
so I think we have time to do that.
And questions that we're gonna
We'll
ask.
figure the questions out. How did you guys do that before? You each had different questions, or did you didn't post what your questions were? I don't remember how you did it.
No, the town board agreed on the questions to ask each applicant.
When did you agree to do that? In a meeting? I'm just
Yeah.
asking. I didn't remember how you did it. So you discussed before you had the applicants, it was public, what questions you were gonna ask?
No.
No, I don't know.
I had no idea what they were gonna ask me.
Well, that's why I'm trying to figure out how that works.
I thought they were kinda lame questions.
Well, now you get to pick some.
We expect real good questions from you, David.
Boy, that raised the bar, didn't it?
No, I don't know how are you gonna have, we're at 5 or 6 now, we might have 6 or 7. are you gonna have them come and have them outside, out in the hallway? I know you did it during Zoom, so that made it different.
Well, that
I'd
could
like
be
to
it.
finish this conversation on the 19th.
That's what I figured that would
Okay.
be, the 19 would be
Yep.
that
Good deal.
discussion.
Okay,
Yep.
When we know we have a final number of how
Okay.
many we,
I'm just curious as all how you're gonna do it, that's all.
Well, you'll be part of it.
We'll find out on the 19th.
bring your plan with you.
I don't have no plan.
I do have a question about the 19th fund balance reduction. You've got that slated with me on that, and I'm not sure why it's me. It's a town board
Well,
issue.
you were asking for it, so I
Yeah.
think she just put it down that way.
All right, well, those names that are after that, those are signals really for the people who are supposed to be submitting documents for that agenda item. And I just don't want a confusion on anything. I don't have anything for it. I'm
No,
waiting for
we'll get the
documents.
fund balance, well, you're talking about the fund balance policy that you guys, reduction policy that you did a couple of years ago?
Yeah, the discussion
So
is just what's there.
we're just
and
gonna
what
pull
we're gonna
that
do
out
with
of the book. Is there anything else you need for it? You should already have it.
No, it's not. But the policy is the policy, we're not changing it.
Well, I don't know what he's asking.
I'm not supplying anything for that discussion. I'm waiting for you and the bookkeeper to generate a report on what the fund balance is for the agenda for the 19th. The conversation will be, how are we gonna reduce the excess fund balance from whatever it is to 50% of the town budget?
Okay, we'll have that discussion then.
Yes, that's the discussion that I'm expecting.
For 219, current one, okay?
Yes.
Okay. And she'll send that out to you, she sends that out a couple days early so you can study it, would you like that?
That's fine.
Okay.
Is the judge gonna just present his stuff next meeting, or does it have to be actually?
Are we
put on
gonna
the
put
board?
him on the next agenda? On the 19th?
I have no problem having them on the 19th.
I think we should.
I agree. Put the judge on the 19th, on the agenda? Gene?
Well, I'm looking at what's here, and I'm seeing a lot of stuff, so, what does not have to be done on the 19th? What's the Dragonfly comments from planning board? Well, how much time is that gonna take?
That is the request by the Dragonfly cannabis wholesaler distributor to amend the PDDC in the proposed fashion that they presented at the last meeting. That's referred to the planning board for the planning board's discussion coming up on Monday, with the planning board's response back to you on the 19th for you folks to decide whether you want to move forward a local law or not.
To change where he's zoned at,
To change the PDDC zone.
Right.
And
that their lawyers put together, drafted their,
yeah, and I looked at it,
You
I mean,
looked at
it
it.
makes sense. I think I'd asked Alex to, I'll have to double check, I thought I asked him to put together a map showing like what would it actually look like. But that's
that
what
might
it is.
that's gonna take some time, probably, to have that discussion. You're gonna get your,
Probably would.
yeah. I don't see the other ones, the highway department or the truck lift, I don't see that taking a long time.
Okay.
The discussion for the hiring of the councilman is gonna take a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't,
Are you ready with the policy manual, or do you wanna
I-
push that off some more?
Well, we already decided to push that to the 19th of March.
right, that's gonna be
Oh,
gone.
you took that off
Yeah,
of there,
that's
okay.
gone.
all
You
right.
got that, right,
All right,
Adam?
good.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
it.
at our last meeting, we did that. It just didn't get,
It just didn't get
Okay.
taken off of there.
yeah. But I do appreciate you asking that, Kevin.
Just trying to lighten
So
lighten it up a little bit there.
So are we good? We're gonna do abstract, the highway, the truck lift. We're gonna talk about the councilman. We're gonna get the judge, the Dragonfly, and the fund balance.
Sounds busy.
Yeah.
So what about,
Oh, yeah, thank you.
I was gonna say you, what about your
Yeah,
letter?
yeah,
How
yeah,
does,
Yeah.
does that get put on a future, I know you can't talk about it.
I'm not.
You don't have to leave, but you
Okay,
can't talk
I'll
about
be
it.
quiet.
Do we put that on a future topic, or do we direct, does it go to Greg? because it's cemeteries? I don't understand.
The process is a legal process on where it goes and how it does, and I think the conversation, when we start to have it, is what's the appropriate legal path to do that? So I would, before we, it doesn't seem to me to be a long discussion if the attorney can give us what the process is, to outline the process. It's just a discussion on whether or not we want to do it.
Okay. So do we put in a future topic?
I would say yes.
When? The 5th? Or the 19th?
The 5th is, there's one item on the 5th.
Yeah, I think we left that because we didn't know if we were gonna do interviews. But we could put, you said it's probably gonna be short.
I don't see it being a long discussion.
Let's put it on the 5th.
That should be fine. I guess in preparation for that one question I had, I wasn't sure from the wording of the letter. Would it be the town purchasing it, like paying money? Or would it be donated to the town, or, because that'll change potentially, like, what the process is. I mean, I guess I could just say what both of the alternatives are, but.
I think that that's appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah, for both options.
So that's on the 5th?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, you can come back in.
Thank you. That's awkward. It really is. Anything else?
You don't need it before then, do you? I mean,
No. I personally, I think she's she's probably gonna make me dig my own grave. I don't know.
So what was the other thing she said? You had Greg or somebody else?
Greg wanted to be on for the park,
Oh,
for the playground. And Gavin for his, to hire his code officer.
so Gavin would be 219. Correct?
Yeah,
Yep.
And Greg was 3.5.
yep, Greg was 3.5.
I don't have any problem with both of those.
David,
I'm fine with it.
we good with it then? Mr. Clerk, you got everything? Yes. Yeah?
The local law.
The local law, yeah, Nate, for,
Yep, for
The-
19th introduction, the 5th public hearing, adoption.
You got that in?
Adam,
For the local law,
for the,
grievance day?
no,
Or, okay.
Yes.
Yes.
yes, grievance day.
New business next meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, just for the future board topics list. That's
Yep,
all.
I got it.
Say that again?
It's new business for the next meeting.
New business, I didn't hear that. Yep. Okay. Anything else? We good with that, gentlemen?
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna go to open forum. We're gonna give the public, guests shall speak in orderly fashion are limited to remarks of 5 minutes or less. The speaker shall deliver their comments or concerns in a civil tone without the use of profanity or personal attacks. The speaker shall not be interrupted except in a matter of urgency. Would anyone like to speak tonight? Okay. I'm gonna ask the board to go into executive session for a personnel issue,
For what?
for, executive session back into regular session. Mr. Holbert seconded. Okay? So we're back in regular session. No decisions were made. I make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Second. Did I do that right?
If you want to, you did.
Okay, so it's, meeting adjourned at 6:48.
Aye.
Aye? All in
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Jeez, it's cold in here. I'm freezing. You're texting me what? All right, we gotta get with Jody tomorrow. Adam, get with you or Jody tomorrow. We gotta fix that stuff, and then on the agenda where she abstracts. We gotta, yep.
I'm gonna have to listen to some of this again.
Yeah, oh, yeah, but we'll work together. I'm gonna be in, I might have something I gotta do tomorrow. I'll try to get in the morning when you get around sometime. We'll just help Jody out a little bit. Okay?